As the Christmas season approached in the winter of 2023, police in Broomfield, Colorado, were dispatched to the home of a 43-year-old mother who had suddenly stopped responding to calls and messages from her family.
Hello.
Oh, I was just, I'm their neighbor, and they called me. They're like, can you go see if she'll answer the
Oh, yeah, he sent us as well, so.
Officers conducting the welfare check made a gruesome discovery.
Oh, shit. Holy shit.
Kristil Krug was a respected and accomplished professional, as well as a devoted and busy mother of 3 children. For months, Kristil had been living a nightmare. A stalker was sending her disturbing and threatening messages filled with shocking and violent language.
It's a lot, and it has definitely made me paranoid everywhere I go, unfortunately.
Only after her death were investigators finally able to piece together the clues and uncover the shocking truth behind her stalker and her killer.
Hands on your face! Hands on your face now! Hands on your face!
Today's case has a long and complex history. It's a tragic story marked by a horrific discovery, revealing clues at the scene and ultimately the unraveling of an intricate, calculated, yet brutal murder plot. Let's take a closer look. Broomfield, Colorado, sits between the 2 larger cities of Denver and Boulder. In its wealthier neighborhoods, spacious residential streets are lined with large family homes. On Thursday, December 14th, 2023, the weather was gray and dreary when the Broomfield Police Department received a call that morning requesting a welfare check at a home on Promontory Loop. The caller said he hadn't been able to reach his wife for several hours. She had been scheduled to meet with a detective from the Broomfield Police Department that morning. According to him, her last message was sent at 8:56 a.m., roughly 20 minutes after he had left for work. She was still at home when he departed.
Hi there. My name is Dan Krug. I don't think this is an emergency, but this feels really weird.
Okay.
My wife isn't responding to text messages or phone calls.
Okay. When you talked to her about 3 hours ago, was she okay? What was she having any medical things? Anything going on?
She asked me to pick up our daughter from school because she had to meet with Martinez.
Okay. So she was supposed to come into the PD and meet with Martinez?
Yeah, that's what she said.
Okay.
Officer O'Hare from the Broomfield Police Department arrived at the home on Promontory Loop to perform a welfare check on Kristil Krug. As he approached the front door, he ran into a friend and neighbor who had also been asked by one of Kristil's family members to stop by and check on her.
Hello.
Oh, I was just, I'm their neighbor, and they called me. They're like, can you go see if she'll answer the
Oh, yeah, he sent us as well, so.
Yeah, I'm like,
Just next door?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, you got this.
Alrighty, man. Appreciate it.
The only sound coming from inside the house was the barking of the family dog, Pixel. When no one answered the door, the officer walked to the side of the house to see if there was a vehicle parked inside the garage. Unable to see through the high windows, Officer O'Hare pulled his patrol car into the driveway, stepped onto the front bumper, and peered inside.
$151, send medical, and $110. I need a 4th Sentry. I got a female down in the garage. Broomfield Police! Broomfield Police! Oh, shit.
At the bottom of the steps, lying on the garage floor, was the mother of 3, Kristil Krug. She was bleeding from a wound to her head and was completely unresponsive.
Husband said there was a stalker threatening to kidnap her, so I don't know. No, she's unresponsive. Decent head wound.
Where we have more room at the head.
I'll be right back, guys. I'm just going to the car here. Hey, man, just run interference for me.
As additional officers arrived at the scene, they cleared the house, secured the area, and blocked off the street. Soon, pieces of the story began to fall into place. At first, Officer O'Hare believed Kristil might have been the victim of a terrible accident. Perhaps a fall down the stairs that caused her to hit her head.
Well, she's CPR being done in the garage. She's got a good head wound. I think it's from falling down, but I'm going to reevaluate that right now.
The officer didn't see any blunt objects or anything that could have been used as a weapon left at the scene. After paramedics' efforts to revive Kristil failed, they discovered that the 43-year-old had not only suffered a head injury, but also a single stab wound several inches long, located just above her heart.
All we saw initially was the head trauma. As soon as we cut open her shirt to place the pads is when we noticed the stab wound.
Got it. Okay.
There were no visible signs of a struggle, no defensive wounds on Kristil, and no signs of disturbance inside the house. Aside from the violent scene in the garage, the home appeared neat and orderly. Kristil's handgun, for which she had a concealed carry permit, was found inside her purse. It was clear she hadn't had a chance to reach for it before being incapacitated by the attack. The medical examiner later discovered 3 distinct impact points on the back of her head. As bits and pieces of information began reaching the responding officers, they started to understand Kristil's connection to Detective Martinez. At that time, they only knew that Kristil had recently reported being stalked by a man she believed to be an ex-boyfriend who had been sending her threatening text messages and emails since early October. Detective Martinez had been assigned to handle her case.
Yeah, I don't know the backstory. Husband said there was a dude who's been stalking her and threatened to kidnap her. And Martinez was involved, and Martinez just said, hey, this is a big old... I don't know, dude. I don't know the history on that part. Martinez does, though, and he said he's coming in. So, like I told him, you can see if Butler needs photos with this big old house. Other than that, we're just kind of securing the scene and waiting for detectives, you know?
There were several indications at the scene that the murder had been carefully planned and executed. 4 home security cameras, which monitored most of the exterior of the house, had been disabled. 3 of them were taken offline that morning at around 8:15 a.m., only to come back online shortly before police arrived. The only camera that had remained active during that time was the one facing the garage door. The front door camera was also found with a piece of blue tape covering its lens, placed there around the same time the other cameras went offline. When the cameras came back on, its view was completely obscured. Investigators also questioned how the killer had entered the home. Since Kristil was found in the garage, it initially appeared that the attacker may have forced the garage door open and caught her by surprise, a logical assumption at first. However, upon closer inspection, it seemed Kristil had actually been alone inside the house and may have left the door unlocked, or had opened it herself for her attacker.
I kicked that, yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah, that is very interesting. Almost like dude might have stuck around from this way. And...
I wonder if maybe the door was unlocked, that's how he got in.
You know what?
Was it deadbolted when
you know what? I don't know. I kicked it and it went pretty easy. So I'm going to say no deadbolt.
It wasn't deadbolted, it was just unlocked.
Yeah, you know what? That bottom one does not even lock. So there's no way to lock the bottom one.
The door was unlocked.
It's all deadbolt.
Yeah.
And I right away saw her on the ground. blood smear on the wall. I came around here and
You said the garage door looked weird?
let's look at it. It looks not forced entry weird, but not proper alignment weird either. See what I'm talking about? It looks like maybe it's just, I don't know, dude. Just
When you were in the house, when you swept the house?
Yeah, we did. And I didn't see anything
Okay.
like disturbance-wise or anything in the house. Outside in the garage is her car keys and looked like she was just leaving.
Okay.
Unless she maybe got greeted at the front door and ran that way, I don't know. But her car keys were at her side. Or a set
Did
of
you
car
see
keys.
anything else on the inside?
No, nothing of note.
As detectives gathered evidence from the scene, Daniel Krug, Kristil's husband, and the man who had called for the welfare check earlier that morning, arrived at the house. His presence would soon turn the investigation in a direction no one expected.
Hey, stay back, stay back, stay back, stay back.
This is my house.
I understand. I need to get his phone away from him because he's probably got access to this camera, and we obviously don't want him to look at it.
Other family members soon arrived at the house. Kristil's mother, Linda, who had been contacted directly by Dan, showed up shortly after Officer O'Hare. She was joined by her son and daughter-in-law, as well as the family's friend and neighbor who had been at the house when the officer first arrived. As the family grieved in the street, Dan gave police permission to begin searching the house.
I know it seems like a long time, but it's no time like now. Because we'd like to search the residence so we can begin our investigation and get the effects.
Yes, go.
Do you understand what I'm asking you to do?
No, but go.
I'd like to if you would, and the top one, so.
Inside the house, investigators discovered a meticulously organized collection of evidence that Kristil Krug had compiled about her stalker. The 43-year-old worked as a project manager for a large technology company based in Boulder, Colorado. Highly intelligent and driven, Kristil held a bachelor's degree in biochemical engineering and had built an accomplished career in the tech industry. Starting in early October, she began receiving a series of unwanted text messages and emails from an ex-boyfriend from college. Her natural instinct was to document everything. In her diary, investigators found detailed entries about every message, each phone number her stalker used, the different email addresses, and other identifying information. Kristil also took serious steps to protect herself. She purchased a gun, took firearms training classes, and carried her weapon with her whenever she left the house. Down in the basement, investigators found a gun safe containing a .22 caliber rifle, 3 decorative swords, and a locked handgun case. After the threats began, Kristil had installed 3 additional security cameras around her home, supplementing her existing doorbell camera. She added bright floodlights to illuminate the property and set up a buddy system when running errands. She even shared her live phone location with family members and warned her neighbors, explaining her situation and what to watch for. But as the weeks went on, the harassment escalated into direct threats against both her and her husband, Dan. On Halloween, she received a chilling email. Attached was a photo of Dan standing outside his workplace, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, where he worked in finance. The message read, "This, your husband. He needs to drive safe. Don't want a clear rubber hose in his tailpipe."
Yes, hi there. I need to report threatening emails and phone calls from a stalking ex, and just didn't know what would be the appropriate course here.
Do you live in Broomfield?
I live in Broomfield. I have no idea where he is.
That's okay. What's your address? Is there a restraining order in place between you two?
There's not, but I would definitely be curious about getting one, considering it's been threatened with violence against both me and my family.
Okay. And is it text messages, phone calls?
I have text messages and an email today that had a picture of my husband threatening to put something in his tailpipe.
After receiving a disturbing message claiming that her stalker had left bodily fluids on her car while she was at a dentist appointment, Kristil contacted the Broomfield Police Department and had an officer come to her house.
Kristil, Officer Hendry.
Yeah, nice to
Very
meet
good to
you.
meet you. I talked to Detective Martinez, so I kind of have an
Yes.
idea what's going on.
Yes, I did as well. I did not see any markings on the car.
Okay.
You can see like it's a little bit dirty, so I didn't see blood marks, but
You know, this is rare, but if somebody does do something weird like this, it's usually obvious.
yeah.
I guess would be the
Yeah, I know.
the
It's
least
like something
kind of the
else.
least. I guess.
In that instance, neither Kristil nor the responding officer found any evidence that the stalker had actually done what he claimed to her car. Nevertheless, the incident was documented along with the others. When she met with Detective Martinez, Kristil explained that her stalker called himself Anthony, an ex-boyfriend from college whom she hadn't seen in more than 20 years.
Okay, and in this timeline, we dated summer of '99. Okay. Very briefly. Like there was a breakup somewhere here, like in the fall, so I did this kind of like also, but you could see like way over here. Last contact I ever had with him, like he tried to reach out to me personally, saw me in person, would have been like in the spring of 2001. Everything here you're gonna see question marks because I'm like, about? I'm just trying to remember like where I was living and where I had kids at the time. So I put everything in green where they're like, just like little teeny things, just like, oh, hey, how you doing? Found me on old information, so it's public information. Technically, I can't say that like he found me in a special way, but it was years later, right, that he came back with a quick email trying to check in. And these events here last maybe like within a period of a couple weeks. Usually it's a handful of email messages. Usually it's just like light, easy, like what's going on. Yeah, like trying to just kind of start a conversation. But it's all light, cordial, whatever. He says, let's get together. I'm like, no. Here he says, let's get together. I'm like, I have a serious boyfriend. Like we were living together at this time. And he's like, screw your boyfriend. And then, I got married in 2007. He's reaching out to me. He can see I have a kid. This is my profile picture of like my kid. And I'm like, I have a family. No. And then again, where I'm like, I'm married with children. Over here. So.
Over the years, Anthony would occasionally reach out, asking if Kristil wanted to meet. She always refused. In 2007, years after first meeting Daniel Krug online, she married him. And together, they built a family, raising 3 children who were 14, 11, and 8 at the time of her death. Kristil told Detective Martinez that the only small relief in her terrifying situation was that her stalker seemed completely uninterested in her children. In all of his disturbing and erratic messages, he had never once mentioned them. Before the stalking began, there had already been signs of trouble. In September of that year, Daniel returned home one evening to find an unknown person running away from their property, apparently having tried to enter through the garage.
Don't think it's related, but there was, my husband caught somebody going through our garage, like he came home, the garage door was up, and he caught somebody running out of our garage. We subsequently installed 2 more cameras on our property. So I get notifications of anybody that's like walking, driving.
Do those all save?
Yes, they all save.
Hi there. My name is Dan Krug. I am a little late, but I'm reporting a trespasser on my property.
What happened?
About 4:50 or so, I was returning home from the store. My garage door was open. As I approached it, someone ran out and ran through my backyard and got away.
Oh.
So that's really all I have to go on.
Have you noticed if anything was missing?
The only thing I think is missing was a spare house key.
Okay. Do you think that person possibly took it?
That's the best guess of my wife and I, yeah.
In November, Daniel Krug also sat down with the detective. After his wife had received the email on Halloween that directly threatened him, she told him everything about the situation. By the time of her death, Both Daniel and Kristil Krug had been emotionally traumatized after enduring weeks of threats, fear, and uncertainty.
Largely, I've been focused on her and the kids, and I've been holed up in the house. Yeah. I went to the grocery store briefly on Tuesday, and someone behind me dropped a can, and I fucking panicked. So what am I doing? I'm panicking. And I'm doing a shit job of protecting my wife. So I'm not doing good. Yeah, I can see that.
And I keep trying to remind myself this is intending to be terrorizing. This is intending to scare me. So I'm like, okay, take it back.
The intention to make your life miserable and cause disruption. And some sort of emotional turmoil is exactly what he's going for.
Yes.
The couple's emotional turmoil and fears over the stalking seemed to culminate in the worst possible outcome only weeks later. In December.
We don't tell. This is a family matter. We're just going to figure out a way let's take care of them. Just make sure that
Daniel Krug was escorted to the police station by a victim's advocate and placed in a soft room for questioning.
I have a secret.
It's not your fault. Your story I didn't answer.
While Detective Martinez consoled Daniel Krug, he awaited the results of expedited search warrants related to the stalker's data. This included tracing the origins of the email addresses and phone numbers that had been used to contact Kristil Krug. Evidence that could reveal the stalker's identity and possibly his location. Although these warrants had been requested weeks earlier, it tragically took Kristil's murder to prompt a rapid response. Meanwhile, investigators were combing through Kristil's cell phone and other items collected from the home. Daniel cooperated fully, walking detectives through the home's security system. Footage showed Kristil leaving the house to drop off her children shortly before 8 a.m., then returning and backing her car into the garage at 7:57 a.m. At 8:15 a.m., the cameras covering the front, side, and back doors were all disabled. On Kristil's phone, detectives found 2 unsent text messages. The first, timestamped 8:19 a.m., was addressed to Detective Martinez and read, "I can't do this anymore, I confess. I've had an affair for 18 months. We framed Anthony and pinned it on Dan. I just broke up with my boyfriend and we're coming to the station to give statements. Be there in 30 minutes. The second message, also unsent, was meant for Kristil's brother, Lars. It read, "I can't keep up the lies. I had an affair for 18 months. We framed Anthony. I just confessed to Martinez. My now ex-boyfriend and I are going there now. Pushed Dan not to press charges." Unaware of these unsent texts, Daniel told Detective Martinez that he had started to suspect Kristil wasn't being completely honest with him. She had hidden the existence of her stalker for nearly a month before finally coming clean. When she did, Daniel had given the man a bitter nickname, the Kick Man, because, as he put it, he just wanted to kick him out of their lives for good.
I felt like she was keeping secrets from my life. She didn't tell me about Kick Man. She keeps disappearing for hours. She kept leaving early, coming home late. I asked, where? She wouldn't tell me. I asked with friends. She said no.
while detectives continued to speak delicately with Daniel Krug. Information from the scene and their search warrants began pouring in. Along with the many notes that Kristil Krug had written about her stalker were entries revealing the state of her marriage. She wrote that she wanted a divorce, that she no longer trusted her husband with the children and no longer loved him. However, there was nothing in her handwriting suggesting she was having an affair. 1 minute after the text message, confessing to an affair was typed out on her phone. Kristil's device was powered off. The only camera that remained online showed Daniel Krug leaving for work 2 minutes later at 8:24 a.m. The last communication sent from Kristil's phone came much later, at 8:56 a.m. A message to Daniel asking him to pick up their daughter later that day. When detectives returned to the room to speak with Daniel again, they read him his Miranda rights. Daniel joked that since his brother was married to a prosecutor, her voice was in his head telling him to ask for a lawyer.
And in typical cop fashion, he married a prosecutor. So I had Lynn's voice in my head going, get a fucking lawyer. I just want this to be done. I don't want to go home. I just don't want to.
The detectives began by asking Daniel Krug to detail the trouble in his marriage. They were keen to understand whether the concern created by Kristil Krug's stalker had caused the couple to grow closer.
Maybe even brought you guys closer, not maybe emotionally closer, but you guys were physically sort of working on things besides your kids.
There was a
mutual.
Yeah, there was. Over the course of November, there was a better team feel.
Okay.
You know, we respond to crisis.
Right.
I had her as a partner to protect the family, but it didn't feel like a partner who valued me.
I mean, it sounds like you feel like you were completely, I don't know, written off by her, or that she had zero care for you anymore.
I don't want a divorce.
Okay.
I have loved her for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Krug was asked to walk the detectives through what he thought could have occurred that morning.
I had left. She was in the kitchen. She would have had whatever meetings that she had. And then she said she was meeting with you. But you know nothing about that, so I have no idea what the fuck that is. What's his name? The other detective said that the cameras were turned off. That shouldn't happen. The only way that the cameras can be turned off is through the app. One of us has to hit the button. Someone came to the door. She doesn't usually answer the door. But she must have, because she must have. So in my brain, the story that I have is someone came to the door. Maybe she went outside to get a package, and they must have come in.
You think either she was taken off guard or it was somebody familiar to her?
I don't know who familiar would have been. She had to have been taken off guard.
While Daniel sat with the detectives offering his own theories about the murder, he was unaware that Detective Martinez had already tracked down Kristil's alleged stalker weeks earlier. The detective was waiting for the search warrants to come through, which would link the threatening messages either to Anthony or to someone else. That afternoon, officers in Anthony's home state of Utah paid him a visit. His home was more than a 6-hour drive from Broomfield. They confirmed he had been at work until 9:45 p.m. the night before. And when Kristil was killed the next day, he was shopping with his wife until 1:30 p.m. His alibi was verified by witnesses, store surveillance cameras, and license plate readers. There was no way Anthony, the man Daniel had referred to as Kickman, could have committed the murder.
We had already spoken with Anthony, and there's no way that he was in town today.
I have nothing. And I'm fucking terrified to bring my children home.
Data from the search warrants confirmed what the detective had suspected. Multiple emails sent to Kristil had originated from an IP address registered to the Colorado General Government in Greenwood Village, the same location where Daniel Krug worked.
The Gmail account that, and you can speak more specifically.
And that text now number we were talking about, the number that he initially texted Kristil from. The Gmail account, the Kickman account that you guys initially received with the photo of you in it, and the phone number, those originated through their IP addresses at your office.
As far as we know right now, there's no physical way that Kickman could have been involved in this based on where he's at right now. So, the mystery continues, and
things are certainly pointing in one direction right now.
All this time we've been looking for him, for the protection, and you just found him today, like that.
Because I've been looking at you, but I've been waiting for these records to come back.
As the interview progressed, Daniel Krug became increasingly quiet and still. He spoke slower, claiming to be in a state of emotional and physical exhaustion from the day's events. Instead of offering a fiery defense of his innocence, he seemed to struggle to summon the energy to respond to the detective's assertions at all. They posited that Daniel himself was the alleged stalker, that he had fabricated the threat to his wife, hoping it would cause her to run to him for safety and protection, drawing them closer together. Instead, Kristil kept it from him for nearly a month. She took steps to protect herself, enrolling in self-defense classes, purchasing and training with her handgun, maintaining a meticulous stalker log and communication with police, and coordinating with trusted family members and friends.
You don't get the response and the openness you once did for about 28 days, from October 2nd to October 31st. So you amp it up a little bit. Send a photo of yourself to her, an account you created. See what her response is.
I drew that conclusion that a lot of this stalking stuff in this report that you guys, of this Kickman, has brought you closer and maybe given a little bit of hope in your relationship that you can accomplish something together.
I don't know where you're going when it happens.
You're using this...
My brain is fried.
I'm sure.
Kind of using this circumstance to bring you guys closer together. You yourself said that. Having the common goal of circling the wagons.
It's something along the lines that it felt like we were more teamwork. Right. I think there's a big gap between teamwork and rekindling emotions.
Daniel Krug spent roughly 4 hours at the police station that day before declaring that he was finished with questioning.
You're done. Yeah, please have my phones and the keys to my car.
So the last thing that we're going to do before before we get to that point is we need to process you for physical.
Forensic experts processing Daniel Krug's clothing found no blood residue. Similarly, teams sent to search the vehicle he had driven to work that day returned nothing of evidentiary value. They had been unable to isolate a cleanup at the scene or definitively point to a murder weapon. If Daniel Krug was the killer, it was likely to be digital evidence, not physical, that would prove his guilt. As Daniel awaited a ride from the station following his questioning, he pleaded with Detective Martinez to find the man who murdered his wife.
As a husband, as a father, not as police, again, family, utmost respect. I don't care if you capture him, I just want the fucker to pay. He took my children's mother for Christmas. They're never gonna get over that. Find him. As a father. Don't just assume it's me. Keep looking.
Over the following 2 days, the crime scene was thoroughly processed. So too was Kristil Krug's car, as well as Daniel Krug's office at the state government building. Further digital evidence was compiled from Daniel's laptop and cell phone. Those closest to Kristil reached out with their own theories, including her mother, Linda. Linda expressed concern that in the chaos and distress on the day of the murder, she had neglected to convey key facts to investigators, primarily about her daughter's husband.
Okay, so, setting aside, because we all know that Dan's under suspicion. So just setting aside the culprit, my daughter was going to get divorced from Dan.
Okay.
She couldn't stand him. He was too volatile with the kids. And she told me that she was going to just live in the basement because she couldn't get enough proof that Dan was being volatile to the kids. And so, I don't know if did I say that or did somebody say that? I don't know.
You did tell me that.
I'm just nervous about this and just some of the conversations that we're having with him, wanting to get rid of all our stuff. And
Could you give me a little bit more insight on that, Linda? What kind of conversations have you had with Dan following Thursday?
Well, just the one that was really troubling me was just the fact that he, was talking about getting rid of, he wants to sell the house. And I understand here's the thing. Everything he says could be justified away, right? And that I know was my daughter's frustration because Dan can be pretty manipulative. That's just his kind of character. But what really struck me is that he was talking about throwing her things out, and I can get rid of her, he actually said, I can get rid of her bras and underwear and, ripped t-shirts and whatever. And, we can put the dresses and shoes that the kids love down away and zip them away. And, this may be just Dan's way. He's quirky and weird of dealing with it, but it just did not set right with me at all.
Linda questioned why Daniel Krug had chosen to call her directly that morning to check on Kristil. He had never done that before. He usually reached out to Kristil's brother or his sister-in-law if he needed to contact the family. Linda told detectives she didn't want to falsely accuse Daniel, but something about that call unsettled her. She believed he had a motive, at least that's what her instincts told her as she spoke with him that day.
insight on what you mean by that?
Well, he tries to make you feel that he's the victim and that you're wrong. And, there's almost sometimes he'll get really syrupy sweet, but you can see and feel underneath this kind of menacing type attitude.
Okay.
So it doesn't feel good, right? You can tell he's seething with anger. And the dog, Pixel would always bark at him. We could always tell when Dan was about to blow, because Pixel would be just barking like crazy at him.
Linda's intuition proved correct. Detectives traced the phone numbers used by Kristil's stalker to burner phones bought with gift cards. Those store purchases were then linked to Daniel Krug through location tracking on his personal cell phone. Even more damning, his phone revealed a disturbing search history around 9 p.m., the night before Kristil was killed. At 8:55 p.m., Daniel searched. How hard would you have to hit someone on the head to make them unconscious? How durable is the human head to withstand trauma? 2 minutes later, he searched again. How hard a hit for head trauma to go unconscious? But the digital trail didn't stop there. The final text message sent from Kristil's cell phone was time-stamped 8:56 a.m. More than 20 minutes after Daniel was captured by the only working security camera leaving for work. Analysis showed that Kristil's phone had been powered off and inactive at the time the message was sent. She could not have typed or sent it after her husband left. It had been scheduled earlier, deliberately set to deliver to Daniel's device after he had left the house. Broomfield police collected hundreds of hours of home security footage from neighboring homes, covering the early morning through the afternoon on the day of the murder. They meticulously noted every vehicle passing near the house on Promontory Loop and observed every individual on the street. Though the killer had disabled the cameras at the Krug residence, it would have been nearly impossible to avoid being captured by any of the dozens of other cameras covering the surrounding area. Investigators found that no one was recorded approaching the house that morning. The conclusion was clear. The killer must have already been inside. On December 16th, just 2 days after the murder, Daniel Krug was surrounded by law enforcement in the parking lot of King Soopers in Broomfield.
Hands on your face! Your hands on your face!
From Daniel's pocket, police pulled a handwritten note. It was addressed to his mother. In it, he wrote about being lied to and used. He stated that his conscience was clear, and he declared his innocence.
Do you need to tell your kids that you killed their mother, or do you want somebody else to? Okay. Good luck.
Daniel refused to speak with police after his arrest. He was charged with first-degree murder and pleaded not guilty. Daniel Krug went to trial in April 2025. His defense argued that there was no physical evidence linking him to the crime. They claimed the case was circumstantial and, in their opinion, weak. The state, however, pointed to Daniel's motive: the digital evidence linking him to the stalking, the disabled security cameras, and the cleverly scheduled text message from Kristil's phone that had been intended to serve as his alibi.
And there is an enormous disconnect between that and the circumstantial picture the prosecution wants you to believe. Mr. Krug did not kill his wife. He did not commit these crimes.
This was about Dan losing control. He was not in love with Kristil, and that resentment had turned to rage by the time we get to December 14th. Think about what he did to her. You don't do that to somebody you love. Think about the absolute nightmare and hell that he made the last few months of her life.
The jury deliberated for roughly 1 full day before finding Daniel Krug guilty of first-degree murder, 2 counts of stalking, and criminal impersonation. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Thank you for watching. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this case, so leave a comment below sharing what you think. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next true crime story. See you in the next video.